and somebody gets hurt, $1 million fine. I guarantee you put $1 million on the line and say that you're getting fined $1 million. I bet you them plans get executed. So therefore, the, a million
Can I just
dollars.
add one thing because you're it's good, but you're going off like Filipowski rolling his ankle and what Caitlin Clark maybe suffered a little whiplash. Let's just call it what it is, man.
Wait, hold
Just
on.
no.
Bro, hold on, bro.
Let's just call it what it is. Those two played
Hold
victim
on,
way
bro.
too hard,
Hold
way
on,
too
bro.
hard.
Suffered a little whiplash is crazy, bro. She could have got her.
All right, whatever. Okay, my point is that she sat up at the post game presser and she was fine. And I'm not for people getting like the players getting hit and all that. I think it's bullshit. Welcome into a loaded Swish.Pod with ESPN college basketball analyst King McClure, myself Noah Buono, and our producer Rob behind the scenes. King and I don't do a ton of fluff. We're going to get right to the business. First order of business. King, how dangerous is this Kentucky team come the NCAA tournament? And do you still have any concerns regarding their youth moving forward? What do we think? Where do you land on this Kentucky team right now?
Man, you're not even gonna ask me how I'm doing, bruh?
Okay, well, that off camera, how you doing? Yeah, we did a little bit of that. You took 45 minutes to get us into the pod. Let's get rolling.
Man, this Kentucky team is dangerous. When you look at it, I'm a big believer in March, you need good guards in order to have success in a tournament. And when you look at their top three guards, and one, probably maybe two that I really want to highlight, but you look at their top three guards, Antonio Reeves, he's shooting roughly around 44% from the three-point line. You look at Rob Dillingham, their second leading scorer, shooting about 43 from the three-point line. Then you look at a guy, and Reed Shepherd, who's shooting over 50 from the three-point line and the field. He's what we classify as a 180 shooter. 80 plus from the free throw line, 50 plus from the three, 50 plus from the field. He is a complete 180 shooter. When you look at those three guards and the two freshmen that they brought in, Wagner was supposed to be the main dude. But the other two have stepped up and really outshined them to the point to where it looks like Wagner might have to come back, but he probably won't. But Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepherd are absolutely special. And they have guards who can get it off the bounce and what we call late shot clock guys, guys who can just go get you one without a play being drawn up for them. This Kentucky team is dangerous. Even though they don't defend at a high level, they will outscore you.
Well, okay, but to your dynamic about those top guys, you got DJ Wagner, Justin Edwards. Those dudes came in ranked higher than Reed Shepherd, Rob Dillingham, and they start the game, but they don't finish the game. From an outsider's perspective, when I watch Kentucky, they're the team I pay the most attention to. I have the most fun watching them, but I can't help but think about that dynamic between those guards that were better in high school and have that better ranking next to their name, not finishing games, sitting there watching Reed Shepherd, who everybody loves. I'm not throwing shade at him, but like I don't think coming in anybody thought Reed Shepherd's going to be the guy that takes this Kentucky team over the top. I don't think anybody thought that.
No.
So I like to think about the dynamic of like what is that like for those two guys, Edwards and DJ Wagner? Like, can't be fun. They're obviously being good sports about it, and Coach Cal's doing a good job coaching everybody to stay together. But there's got to be a little bit of that, like, I want to finish the game. I'm DJ Wagner. I'm the number one player in the country. Like, why am I not finishing games? Like, but when you look at the totality of the Kentucky team, what are you going to do? You're going to put him in over Antonio Reeves? No. You're not going to put him in and play the 4 or the 5. Aaron Bradshaw has a better chance of playing and finishing the game at the 5. But you have Trey Mitchell, who's a vet. You're going to go with your vet guys. And then my sleeper is Adu Thiero, who's like that glue guy that you just have to have on your team. But fun fact, they did finish, we say all this, they did finish the game versus Arkansas with a five freshmen in the lineup. The last 6 minutes, Justin Edwards finished. Pretty sure DJ Wagner was out there with Dillingham and Shepherd. And Rob Dillingham was unreal in that in the last 10 minutes of that game. He was unreal. I mean, I think he had 4 points at the 10-minute mark of the second half, and he finished with 15 points, 5 assists. He had scored and assisted on 17 of their 27 points to close out the game. I mean, the guy's what is he, top 5 pick in your opinion?
Easily. He's easily a top 5 pick. And what's crazy is like going into this year, first game, who was the guard that everybody was talking about that was ranting and raving over? Who was the freshman guard?
What I just said was DJ Wagner.
No, man. I'm talking about Isaiah Collier.
He's not even in the picture, man. Shitty ass USC. They're not even on the radar.
Yes, everybody was ranting and raving over Isaiah Collier, but this dude Rob Dillingham, he just has that it factor to him, and the way he plays, like I mean, he's first off, he's extremely efficient, but secondly, he has that flash. He has those highlight plays that draw fans' attention, that get you to want to go sit down and watch him. Like I will watch a Kentucky game strictly just to see what Rob Dillingham is going to do.
Bro, did you see the plays where he was turning down the ball screens? I think it was like 2 times in a row. He gets that little drop cross, he throws it behind his back, and then he
Yeah,
absorbs the contact off too. And you're just like, it was every time down the floor though, where you're like, oh, nobody can stay in front of this guy. One-on-one
bro.
defense versus Rob Dillingham is physically impossible. And the only way to beat him is to make him beat himself by just taking a bad shot, which I would say later on in the season, thus far, he's been doing a lot less of.
Yeah, no, he's done a good job of taking the right shots, which is why his efficiency is skyrocketing. That's why he's 40
Mm-hmm.
plus from the 3-point line. To shoot 40 plus from the 3-point line on some of the shots that he takes, that is
Yeah.
that is hard to do. That is extremely impressive. And I think that when you look at Kentucky guards and based off the body frames, because everything that I'm hearing about this dude is, well, he's not big enough. Well, he's going to get bullied and he's going to get, physically imposed with some of these stronger guards. No, when you look at Tyrese Maxey, you look at Emmanuel quickly. These dudes are having success in the NBA, and they had very similar body frames. Might have been a little bit bigger, but very similar body frames to a Rob Dillingham. So I have no concern. Like if I'm an NBA team, there's not a lot of dudes in this draft class that I want to draft. However, Rob Dillingham is one of these dudes, and he is one of them ones, and so is Reed Shepard.
Fun fact about Kentucky for listeners: they're third in scoring in all of the NCAA. I think it's 89 points per game, and they're 330th in scoring defense. They're giving up. What do I have here? How many points per game are they giving up? Oh, I must not have written it down. But the fact of the matter about the two, they're 49% offensively, but they're holding opponents to 42%. So my thing with Kentucky moving forward is like, they want to get into a shootout. They don't care. Fine, they can't guard the high middle ball screen at all. You can run it 15 times in a row if you're Gonzaga and score every single time. Fine, teams are going to do that. But I just don't think that it's smart to get into a shootout with a team as good as this Kentucky offense. I think it's trouble.
It's not because that plays into the hands of what they want you to do. And that's the
Right.
thing, right? They're not great defensively, which is why when you talk about national championship hopes, I don't think they're a national championship contender. I think that they could be an Elite Eight or Final Four team. I
Mm-hmm.
would trust them to get that far, but I think when it comes down to the nitty gritty, you got to get a stop. I don't know if there's any national championship team I can think of in the last, I don't know, the last what 5, 6, 7, 8 years that just couldn't like lock up. And even UConn last year, I mean, they weren't the greatest defensive team, but when it came down to it, them dudes are getting a stop. Tristan Newton is
Yeah.
staying in front of you. But let's say Kentucky runs into a team like Houston or Iowa State. That's probably not the best matchup for them because then you're not going to be able to score, and then you're going to let them dudes get buckets because they have enough to score on you. I don't know.
One thing I would say that they have going for them is their backline help. They are fourth in the country in blocks per game at 6 a game, and that starts with, and I'm going to butcher all of their names. Ugona Oniensu, help me here because you've probably do you even know who he is?
No, I,
You're looking at me like,
I know who he is, but I don't know how to pronounce the name.
I'm not saying his name right. I know that's for sure, but he's leading the team. 2.6 blocks. You got Avicic 1.5 blocks. Trey Mitchell's got a block a game. Thiero's got a block a game. I'd like to see Aaron Bradshaw get in there a little bit more. But they got like 4 or 5 dudes that'll protect the rim. Like your top 5 in blocks per game, that means you protect the rim pretty damn well. So, okay, if their guys are going to get beat outside on the perimeter, you have a good back line, which is important. So, obviously that's not going to carry them to 6 straight wins in March. But I think it's something to keep note of because they have that going for them on the defensive end. It'd be different if they stunk on the perimeter in one-on-one defense, their rotation stuck, and they have no backside help at the rim. But they have decent rim protection.
And one thing that uh, Reed Shepard is probably their best. Either Reed Shepard or Antonio Reeves, probably their best on-ball defender. I mean, Reed Shepard almost averages around a little bit over 1 steal a game, almost 2 steals a game. So he's really good in the passing lanes. One-on-one, he's decent. But you're right. I mean, sometimes that can be a good thing. Sometimes that can be a bad thing because if you rely too much on your help side, now all of a sudden you're getting blown by. Like, it's not
Yeah.
the worst thing in
He's
the
just
world.
Reed Shepard's a sicko. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets drafted. He's got to be a top 15 pick with the way he's
He has
playing.
to. Yeah.
2.5 steals a game, to your point, but he's also averaging 4 assists, 4 rebounds, 12 points. Like, nobody
He's putting
saw
up
that
numbers.
coming.
Yeah.
Nobody saw that coming. But I think it's been one of the best college basketball storylines the whole season. I will, just to wrap up our Kentucky segment, say that I do think Coach Cal has his most success with freshmen. You go back to the Anthony Davis team. You go back to that 38-1 team that lost to Wisconsin with Carl Towns and D Book, John Wall, DeMarcus Cousins. Like, his most talented teams are with freshmen. And this year he's got a good sprinkle of some of those veteran guys, like we mentioned with Trey Mitchell, Antonio Reeves. You add in Adu Thiero, even though he's only a second-year guy. Like, I like their chances. I do think they could run into some trouble with the defense. I know I'm being a little hypocritical here because I kind of just said they could get into a shootout and win. But again, like you kind of touched on it, is the defense is what's going to matter most. And fun fact, they are average 1.7 years of experience in Division One, which is 193rd. So experience isn't totally there. All right, moving on. Let's go to staying actually in the SEC. Tennessee coming off that huge win on the road at Alabama, 81-74. They now maintain control at the top of the SEC, 13-3, and they're on the verge of a 1 seed. But their last 2 games, they got to go to South Carolina and they're home versus Kentucky, which are 2 of their 3 losses in the SEC this year, were to both of those teams. So is it Final Four or bust for Tennessee? Where are you at with them and this veteran group? Where do you overall land? Do you think if it goes south these last 2 games, that they're not a Final Four team? Like, what do they have to? What does their finish have to be headed into the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I think with the way they're playing, I mean, they just beat a tough Alabama team at Alabama, a place that's not easy to play at. And going to South Carolina is actually a top 25 team this year. They've actually got things rolling. Surprisingly, I don't think that
Shout
was a
out to
place.
Michi Johnson.
Yeah, I don't think that would be ever be a place where anybody could like have some success, right? But they're doing it. I think they'll get this win at South Carolina. I also think that they will beat Kentucky at home, just because you're right. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially doing the on the second time at their
Right.
crib. I think they'll finish the season out 2-0. But the thing that you said that was key is veteran. I love veteran teams. And this
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee team last year, when you looked at them, when you watched them play the game of basketball, they were very, very robotic. They played like system basketball, and we talked about late shot clock guys and how Kentucky has about 2 or 3 of them. Well, Tennessee didn't have one of them, right? Tennessee didn't have one late shot clock guy. The best guy when it comes to getting into the paint was Ziegler, and he at the times where just wasn't a great scorer. He ended up getting hurt. But even when he was playing, he wasn't an elite scorer, wasn't on that level to where it's like, all right, cool. Like, let me go get you a bucket. No. But Rick Barnes goes in the transfer portal, goes and gets a guy from Northern Colorado that we talked about. Nobody expected Reed Shepard to do something. We surely didn't expect this man right here to do anything. In Dalton Knecht, honestly, in my opinion, the best transfer in the transfer portal, the biggest
Yeah.
pickup, and I don't even think it's close. And if it wasn't for Zach Edey and just the absurd numbers he's putting up, and like he's 7'4", which don't even get me started when it comes to this. Don't get me started on Purdue basketball. But when it
They're
comes
another story.
to, you said what was that? Huh?
They're another story. They're a story for another time, Chris.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
not bought in. I'm not
I
bought into them in the postseason yet, but I agree with
I,
continue with what you're saying about
I thought you was about to get ready to debate because I was about to say, oh, sir, we can go down that road. We can just scratch the rest of the show and go down that whole road.
Connect.
But
Oh, are you pro? Are you pro or anti Purdue? Well, I don't know where you were going.
I'm anti Purdue. Anti Purdue.
Okay, I am too. So we can't have a good
Yeah,
debate.
yeah,
on it
we
'cause I
can.
couldn't be further south on them.
No, for sure. But if it wasn't for Zach Edey and Big Fella down low, I think Dalton Knecht is probably National Player of the Year with some of the performances that he has had. He becomes their late shot clock guy. When they need a bucket, he is their go-to guy, one-on-one. You can't guard me. I can create off the bounce. I can shoot the tray. I can do whatever I need to do. And they finally have that.
All right, listen, I don't disagree with the Connect take. I don't, because I think he's phenomenal. But I will push back a little bit on their late game late shot clock kind of guy. Like, they beat Alabama the other day with him being a non-factor. He was a non-factor. Call it what it is. He was 1 for
Oh
7
my
from the.
goodness.
He was one. What do you mean? 13 points, 5 for 13, 1 of 7 from 3. He was in foul trouble. I'll give him a little bit of that. But for the most part, like, if you go back into I watched like the last 6 minutes of the game this morning because I knew we were going to talk about it a little bit. And if you go back through that game, he had pretty much nothing to do with getting into that 7-point deficit and then ultimately taking the lead. It was Zakai Ziegler, Jones Adu, Vescovi. God, I'm butchering all these guys' names. Mashaik. God, regardless, Dalton Knecht was not part of the list of guys that were really winning over that game. Like, Zakai Ziegler's defensive presence, his ability on that end of the floor, completely swayed the way the game went. And then he had the back-to-back assists that ultimately gave them the lead, and they never gave it up. I think it was around the 5-minute mark. But I just don't think Dalton Knecht, like, and I'm glad we're on the same page with the Purdue thing. He's not player of the year. If Zach Edey never existed, yes, he probably is player of the year. But to your overall point, like, that veteran group that they have, I mean, they're top 3 in defense. They're 3rd in defensive efficiency. They're 17th in offensive efficiency per KenPom. So, like, they fit the mold for a team that could not only make it to the Final Four, but win a national championship.
You know, you actually just proved my point even further because you talking about this last game. Well, how about the game before, Noah? How about the game when my man had 39 against a top 15 team in Auburn? Dude took that game completely over. And what you said just proved my point even more because, in a sense, not only do he can be that go-to guy to take a game over, but they're also good enough to be able to go on the road with their go-to guy not playing well and still pull off a big win like they did. They're so versatile, and that's what makes them so dangerous. Because Dalton Knecht is that dude. 39 against Auburn in a pivotal moment of the season in a top 15 matchup. 39. We talking about 1 point away from 40, Noah.
I do remember you hit me early on in the year. It was like right before the Maui Invitational. You were like, "Yo, you got to look at Dalton Knecht. Like, this dude is different." And then he laid 2 eggs in the Maui Invitational after the Syracuse game. I'm a fan of Dalton Knecht. I know I sound like a hater, but I'm just that's just was the timeline of when all that happened. I don't disagree with you. I think that they're the veteran presence that they have from top to bottom, and then, like, you know, that little chip on their shoulder from last year's tournament run, like, who they lost to FAU. You know, they want their lick back, and I think that it could come this year, regardless of how they finish SEC play, regardless if they win the regular season title or the tournament final. I don't even think it matters. Like, yeah, you want to win that, but I still think that the overall totality of this team screams Final Four, in my opinion.
100%. And you're right. They did lose to FAU, but FAU has a few dudes on that team, and Elijah Martin and John L. Jones, who we might see him in the NBA. And the way that they were playing was absolutely out of their minds. But
we're both strongly no on Dalton Knecht for Player of the Year. Strongly no.
Yeah, right? I mean,
can't win it over Zach Edey.
He's not going to win it over Zach Edey, but, like, in my personal opinion, if I had a vote, I'm voting for Dalton Knecht.
You're insane. Why? What do you mean? He's not going to. So you actually would take him. You would take.
Yeah, Dalton, I mean, in my opinion, listen, this is going to go down a rabbit hole in which we're probably going to have to scratch the whole show and just talk about this.
You got like 2 minutes.
Listen, in my opinion, right, what Zach Edey does, like, the numbers are impressive, but how do I phrase this without sounding? I feel like okay. At 7'4" to do what he does, I don't think it's very difficult.
Oh my God, so he should be faulted, and he should not be granted his second national player of the year because he just so happens to be 7'4". So sorry, man, you can't have this award because, you know, what you do is actually not that hard out there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. To the people who care about stats and the people who are gonna vote, they're gonna be like, yeah, give it to Zach Edey. But, like, real hoopers know you were a hooper. Real hoopers know that what Dalton Knecht is doing is way more impressive than what Zach Edey's doing.
Okay, I don't dispute that, but take the stats out of it, like, on a pure impact scale, Zach Edey has more of an impact on the floor than Dalton Knecht does. The guy's 7'4". How do you game plan for? You don't game plan for that. You can't. You can get the ball out of Dalton Knecht's hands. You can make
Hold
him
on.
uncomfortable.
He
You
has
can.
more.
You can.
He has
Come on,
more.
King.
He has more of an impact.
Yes, Zach Edey has the biggest impact in college basketball. He's 24 and 12 on 62%. What are we talking about? He's a behemoth.
In what the way that the game is played in college basketball, what do you win with bigs? Why does Purdue? Why does Purdue constantly get bounced early in the tournament? This is a constant thing for these dudes.
I don't disagree with that. That's where I land on your side of the Purdue debate, but not the Zach Edey impact debate.
But this is what I'm saying. You want to talk about his impact? His impact causes his team to lose when it matters the most.
Did they lose to FDU last year because of him or because they had bad guard play?
Because if the main thing that you're doing is throwing it inside, which he produces, but if the main thing is the main thing, and that's throwing it inside, you will not be successful. So you can argue that at the end of the day, Zach Edey, as much as he does, the greatness that he does, that he has, if he does not have good guards that can actually go get you a bucket, throwing it inside to him is not going to produce wins.
Okay, so is that a stray at Braden Smith and Lawyer? Because
I ain't gonna say it's a stray; it's a fact. Them dudes didn't produce like they should have produced. They
I don't disagree with you on the end of overall team not producing and then it impacting Edey's impact in March Madness. However, regular season Big Ten play versus Dalton Knecht's SEC play, I just feel like it's not really comparable. Like I started off my response to
not comparable is crazy.
Didn't even have an impact in their win against Alabama.
Not comparable is crazy. Like, bro, Dalton Knecht is averaging 20 points, almost 21. Zach Edey's only averaging 24. Now, yes, he's averaging 12.
Only.
Yeah, only 24. That's like 2-3 points more. And he gets the amount of touches. Oh my goodness! I need to go find my laptop to find the usage rating because the amount of touches.
Don't move, otherwise our setup is fucked. Don't move.
the amount of touches that literally Zach Edey gets, he should average 24. I mean, Dalton Knecht can go get it out the mud, and when you need it the most.
What does that have to do with overall impact, though? I'm sorry. I have seen Purdue lose games when Zach Edey does not get the ball. I have seen Tennessee win games when Dalton Knecht is there but struggling. Who has the bigger impact? All right, we got to move on. We can get into this more. We could go all day. I'm sorry, I have to cut you off because we got to bring in producer Rob. We're moving quickly here. Instead of a full third segment, we're going to finish the show some quick takes from King and I. Even though we're both long-winded, we're going to see how quick we can be in the next 8 to 10 minutes. I'm going to hand it over to our producer, Rob. What do we got, man?
Court storming has emerged again in the topic conversation in college basketball following Wake Forest's upset at Duke. Their star player, Kyle Filipowski, gets injured as the fans rush the court. Noah, King, yes or no, court storming?
Yes. And I think we overcomplicate this. It's simple. First off, we're not taking away court storming because that is what makes one of the many things that makes college basketball different than the NBA. But here's what you do. Every school has a mandated plan. You have to have a plan to get the opposing team off successfully. And let's not act like this is not doable because there's only about 3 games a year, maybe, that court storming is going to happen maybe in these 3 games if we win. So you have a plan, you execute your plan, you fail to do that plan, and one of the players is still on there and somebody gets hurt, $1 million fine. I guarantee you put $1 million on the line and say that you're getting fined $1 million. I bet you them plans get executed. So therefore,
Can I just add one thing because you're it's good, but you're going off like Filipowski rolling his ankle and what Caitlin Clark maybe suffered a little whiplash. Let's just call it what it is, man.
Let's just
call it what it is. Those two played victim way too hard. Way too hard.
Suffered a little whiplash is crazy, bro. She could have got her.
All right, whatever. Okay, my point is that she sat up at the post-game presser and she was fine. And I'm not for people getting like the players getting hit and all that. I think it's bullshit. If you're a guy rushing the stands, how do you not see 6'11" Kyle Filipowski? But on the flip side of Kyle Filipowski, what'd you do? You got kicked in the ankle, man. You did not roll your ankle. He grabbed his guys like he's just lost his leg and he needed to be helped. Like, come on, bro. Listen, I don't disagree with what you said, and I don't really care about whether they get rid of it or they keep it. All I want to say is that those two got to the podiums and played the victim card way too hard. People were going to feel bad for you regardless. They were, because it was wrong. But come on, bro. Kyle Filipowski's on some. Oh, I definitely think they did it on purpose. No, they didn't, bro. They're just excited. They're running around like they clipped you. That's probably controversial, but I don't really care. All right, Rob. What do you got next?
Bro, a little whiplash is crazy.
Last week, LeBron took to X, formerly known as Twitter, to voice his frustrations after ESPN removed Bronny from the 2024 NBA mock draft, instead mocking him at number 39 in the 2025 mock draft. LeBron says he just wants people to let Bronny be a kid and enjoy basketball. How do you feel about this?
Man,
Go King. Go.
I'm about to say, look, you can start.
Okay, yeah. All I want to say is that people seem to forget that Bronny James started off his college basketball career about a month in with a heart attack, okay? So why don't we pump the brakes and reel it back in and relax on bro? He's fine. Who cares about the 5 points per game? USC stinks. Last in the Pac-12. A complete non-factor. Like, there's been the ups and downs. He didn't have a preseason. He had to work his way through the season going on to get in shape, to get accustomed to college basketball, the speed of it, the strength of it, to get accustomed to USC's system. Like, I don't care. I thought it was stupid that he was 10th overall in the 2024 mock draft. I thought it was dumb. And I think it's dumb that he's 39th right now in the 2025 mock draft because nobody really knows where he's going to land, okay? And the only reason it's a subject of discussion, and it's expected, is because he's LeBron James' son. That's fine. I don't expect it to be any other way. But just pump the brakes on the kid. He's fine. He's a really good basketball player. Are there moments where he's a non-factor out there and he gets lost in the sauce a little bit and you kind of forget that he's out there? Yes, but it's not that big of a deal because he's got talent. He's got a good support system. He's LeBron James' son. So I'm not betting against the James DNA. I'm just not, okay? I think he's fine.
I agree with you, man. Wholeheartedly. I agree with you. And I think from a perspective of, it's like, I don't really care where a kid lands. I don't care what his draft stock is. It doesn't matter to me, right? For me, as a guy with a heart disease who has the same one that he has, at least it's what I've been hearing, basically, for him to be out there and play with what he went through, to have the courage to be able to go play despite, having the heart attack in practice, kudos to him. If he makes it to the NBA, I would cheer him on. If he doesn't and he just ends up being a really good college player, I would cheer him on. I don't care about where he lands. I don't care about none of that. I mean, the rhetoric has changed with LeBron a little bit because LeBron did say earlier that, he was better than some of these dudes in the league. And now he's saying, like, the rhetoric has changed a little bit. But nonetheless.
I think he should have done his son a favor and just not said any of that.
Yeah,
all that did was just add a little bit more pressure to the situation.
He shouldn't have said that at all. But me personally, I'm just thankful and I'm glad and I'm extremely proud of dude to even have the courage to still go out there and play. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, let me have a heart attack on the court, my career's done. I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm not. Right? I'm not doing it no more. Right?
You know how scary that probably is. I mean, you went through something similar, but like. This dude like rallied back and was trying to play this year, not know I'm gonna take the year off. I'm gonna get my stuff to get like no. He was on the court in like 6 months. Like I don't know. We gotta just pump the brakes on him a little bit. He still is a kid. It's like just and I know like when you're being you're a prospect and you're being looked at to get into the NBA draft, like that kid title gets stripped from you a little bit because it's like you're trying to go into the NBA. Like people are going to be evaluating you. They're going to be judging you, making analysis. That's fine. But at the end of the day, like he's a prime candidate to just stay in college. Like give yourself another year to develop. There's not really any need to rush it. I know Rich Paul said the thing about like it's not as much about where he's going to or the number he gets drafted versus like where there's maybe a proper fit, something along those lines. So we'll see what ends up happening. But let's keep it pushing. Rob, what's next on the agenda?
Last and final thing, University of South Florida is having its best season ever. First time being ranked top 25. Currently 22 wins, 5 losses, 14 straight wins. Do you guys think they can keep this up? And who are some of your title favorites?
Yeah, I actually like USF. They're in the same division in the American with FAU, with SMU. I watched the game the other day against SMU. They're actually a solid team. I think that could potentially be a two-bid league, depending on who wins the tournament. But I think that USF is a pretty solid team. Do I think that they could maybe be one of those sleeper teams that go on a run in the tournament? I don't know about that one, but I think that for what they're doing right now, I think that they have to. Actually, I wouldn't say they have to win the tournament. I think they've done enough to make the tournament right now as a top 25 team. And I think that them and FAU make the tournament. SMU, maybe they'd have to win. If SMU wins, then maybe it becomes a three-bid league. Who knows? But I like USF. I don't know if I think I'd probably say the second round is me personally is where their ceiling is. But a title favorite,
I would say I'm bummed about Memphis the most in that AAC conference. What USF has done, 15-1, is great, but all I think about when I think about USF and that conference as a whole is the drop off of Memphis, because they were so exciting to run in the beginning of the year, and it's just been a bummer.
They're so irrelevant. I forgot about them even being in the conference.
Yeah, I mean, they've dropped to irrelevancy unless they somehow win the conference tournament.
And what's crazy is they went to go add a guy like Naquan Tomlin, which I heard that caused a lot of drama to the program when they went to go get him for reasons that would probably be obvious. But you go get a guy like Naquan Tomlin, who is honestly, a lot of people said he was supposed to be an NBA player before this season at Kansas State, and then you just get worse. And not because of the addition of him, I think just because your team just drops off. And I don't know what happened. I can just know what I heard. But yeah, Memphis is so irrelevant that I forgot they was even in the American.
Give me your title favorite. You go first, I'll go second. And we'll wrap it up. Since we're new here, let's let everybody know who we got.
UConn.
Okay, cool. Me too. It's the year of the back-to-backs, King. The Chiefs did it. Zach Edey's going to do it. UConn's going to do it. First time in 20-plus years for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
Don't talk about Zach Edey.
First time since Billy Donovan and the Gators in the 2000s.
We're not gonna include Zach Edey in that category. Stop.
He's going back to back. First time since Ralph Sampson. Get over it.
Okay, that's cool, but let's just not include him with the Chiefs. And
I'm just saying.
I don't want to hear the name.
I'm just saying it's the year of the back to back. All right, that's a wrap for the Swish.Pod episode 1. We'll see you guys back here sometime during the week or sometime next week. We may try to pump out 2 a week, depending on our schedules here to wrap up college basketball season. But be sure to subscribe to the Swish YouTube channel. Follow us all on social media, and we'll be back for more. Appreciate y'all for tuning in.